This is the facelifted 2015 Porsche Cayenne, and they're having the launch event here on the Sea to Sky Highway between Vancouver and Whistler, which was made famous by the 2010 Winter Olympic Games. And one of the goals with updating this facelifted 2015 Cayenne was to give it a more masculine look. Actually, the head designer of this new Cayenne is actually on the trip, and he told me that internally they wanted to give it a little bit more oomph, a little bit more precise and upscale look. On the front, you can see some similarities to the new Macan. It's got bigger air intakes, all new headlamps now with standard LED daytime running lights. Tried to mimic the clam-shaped hood that's found on the Macan as closely as they could. Around the back, you'll notice a new rear spoiler at the top of the vehicle. The bumper has been lifted up slightly, and with that, they've been able to integrate the exhaust pipes into the lower valance. The overall look is to make the car look wider and more masculine. In addition, for S models, they've added 19-inch wheels as standard equipment in the Canadian marketplace. I definitely welcome these updates. I was a previous Cayenne owner, and the 2011 Cayenne, when it came out, I thought was maybe a little bit too rounded. Now, with these updates, it's a little bit square, especially around the bottom, makes it look more anchored, definitely has that classic Cayenne look, but just a little bit more upscale. So the goal here in the Whistler area is to try this vehicle out, get a chance to feel the new engines that are available under the hood, and also take it off-road. So the first vehicle I'm getting to drive up here in the Whistler area is the new Cayenne S, which previously had a V8 engine. Now they've downsized that to a 3.6-liter bi-turbo, twin turbocharged engine. Sounds a lot like the turbo in the Macan, and it is the same block, but horsepower has been jacked up by 20 to 420 horsepower, but torque remains the same at 406 foot-pounds of torque. This is done, of course, to get better efficiency. Porsche will tell you that it's increasing horsepower, and definitely it is, but it really all comes down to where the power comes on in this car. You do notice right away there's a different kind of resonant noise when you're driving this compared to a V8. It has a very different sound and feel. Not to say that it's bad, it's just different. The other thing you notice on the inside, it's relatively the same. A few minor touches. They've got a new steering wheel, 3-spoke sport steering wheel that's standard. Paddle shifters are now standard on all Cayenne models, and all Cayenne models in Canada come with standard heat. Minor change to the back seat, now with a little bit more of a sculpted feel to the back seats to give you that real sports car kind of feel, even though it's a nice family vehicle. So the new vehicle in the S lineup of vehicles is the SE Hybrid. Now last year they brought out the SE Hybrid in the Panamera sedan, and now it's in the Cayenne. It's the very first plug-in hybrid in this class of vehicle. And it has the capability to run between 20 and 30 kilometers on pure electric power, depending on the conditions. Obviously, it's colder, it'll be less. If it's optimal conditions, up to about 30. Transport Canada pegs it at about 23 kilometers on pure electric power. At play is a 95 horsepower electric motor, and matched to a 3-liter supercharged 6-cylinder that's pulled from the Audi family. That produces 333 horsepower, and together it's 416 horsepower and 435 foot-pounds of torque. So this is no slouch. And when you're driving it, you have the option to push the button of the Sport Plus setting to use the electric power for optimal driving conditions, like using that extra torque, or you can use the electric battery just for electric driving to make it the most efficient. So it's got a bit of a chameleon effect. It can be as powerful as you want using the electricity, or as efficient as you like by just driving on pure electric power. So how does the e-hybrid drive? Well, if you have it on just electric power, it's kind of interesting because it drives like a conventional vehicle, meaning it uses the automatic transmission. Unlike a lot of vehicles that have, say, like a continuously variable transmission, it's got the regular gear shifts in between. So it feels like a regular Cayenne. You hear a little bit of a whir from the electric motor, and then when you kick on the gasoline engine, they work together beautifully. I really do like the supercharged V6 that's used in this vehicle. I wish they used it more in the Porsche Cayenne lineup, but the two together really are quite nice. Porsche also claims that they've made some changes to the suspension. Now, it's really hard to tell unless you have an older Cayenne right next to this one, but I'm here to tell you that if you're somebody that likes a great handling vehicle, the Cayenne is pretty hard to beat. And I love this vehicle much more than the Macan. The Macan is a nice product, don't get me wrong, but for my money, size, practicality, which is really good for a family, I think the Cayenne is really hard to beat. Now, back to the SE Hybrid for a moment. If you look at the Panamera SE Hybrid, they only sold about 11-12% of those cars with the plug-in hybrid. Now granted, it was only a rear-wheel drive, and this is an all-wheel drive, so that might change people's minds. But the biggest competitor for this SE Hybrid is the diesel. The diesel with 428 foot-pounds of torque and great on fuel. Maybe not as efficient as this vehicle, but for the price, it's pretty hard to beat as well. Now, of course, the number one reason why somebody buys a Porsche Cayenne is to take it off-road. Well, not really, all kidding aside. Not very many owners will take their vehicle off-road, but it's nice to know that Porsche has engineered the capability into the vehicle. Even when going through large bumps, getting one wheel in the air, the body is so stiff, you can actually open the tailgate or the back doors, and none of the body's integrity has been challenged. Now, all Porsche Cayenne GTS and turbo models come standard with air suspension. When you raise the air suspension, it increases the ride height of the vehicle by 11 centimeters, allowing it to go across rocks, through water, and it does it all with remarkable ease. Now, the Porsche Cayenne S with the new turbocharged V6 engine starts at just over $83,000. Now think about that for just a second. A Macan Turbo starts at $83,000, and the Cayenne S with the same engine, with more output, is about the same price. Now, sure, the Macan Turbo has a few extra features added in, but in my opinion, I think the Cayenne is much more vehicle. It's got way more space for a family. It's got a beautiful interior, not that the Macan doesn't, but I just think the size of it is much more practical. This now has improved handling, which I really can't tell the difference from the old one unless I have it to drive back to back, but I'm here to tell you, it handles as well as the Porsche Cayenne ever has. It's a really well put together vehicle. The interior is just as sumptuous as ever. I'm a big fan of the Porsche Cayenne, and I'm glad they made some changes to make it look just a little bit more masculine. The SE Hybrid, the plug-in hybrid with about 23 kilometers of all-electric range, is interesting. Not sure how many takers out there. It's good to see that Porsche is the first to deliver a plug-in luxury SUV.